Every night at 2003 a.m., my Spotify starts playing music, and I'm the only one in the house. I know how that sounds. I know the first thing you're thinking. Shared account, someone else logged in, simple explanation. I thought the same thing. I went through every logical explanation there was. None of them held up. My name is Carl. I'm 31. I work in logistics, scheduling, freight coordination, nothing glamorous. I live alone in a terraced house in a quiet part of the city. I've lived there for about 4 years. No flatmates, no partner, no pets, just me. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand the baseline. My life is routine, deliberately so. I'm the kind of person who eats the same breakfast 5 days a week and takes the same route to work because consistency is comfortable. I don't dramatize things. I don't look for patterns that aren't there. Or at least, I didn't used to. It started in late January. I remember the month because the heating had been playing up and I was sleeping with an extra blanket, which meant I was sleeping lightly, more aware of sounds than usual. The first night I noticed it, I thought I was dreaming. There was music, faint, coming from my phone on the nightstand. I reached over, looked at the screen. Spotify was open, playing. I assumed I'd fallen asleep with it running. Closed the app, went back to sleep. Second night, same thing, music from my phone. This time I was more awake when I noticed it. I looked at the time, 2003 am. I closed the app again, checked whether I had a sleep timer or an alarm set that could have triggered it. Nothing. I'd never set a Spotify sleep timer in my life, didn't even know if the app had one at the time. By the fourth night, I was paying attention. I deliberately closed Spotify completely before I went to bed. Not just minimized, force closed, cleared from recent apps, put my phone face down on the nightstand and went to sleep. 2003 IME music. I picked up the phone. Spotify was open, playing a song I didn't recognize. The screen showed a track called Corridor B by an artist with no profile image, no follower count, no other listed tracks. Just the one song playing. I sat up fully that time, turned the lamp on, looked at the phone properly. The account shown was mine. My name, my profile picture, my playlist in the sidebar. But I had never heard this song, never searched for it, never been recommended it. It wasn't in any of my playlists. It hadn't come up on any radio or shuffle. It was just playing. I listened to about 30 seconds of it. I don't know why, curiosity maybe, or the need to confirm it was real. It was instrumental, slow, low, almost like a soundtrack. The kind of music that doesn't quite resolve. Each phrase builds towards something and then doesn't arrive. Just keeps going, keeps building, never landing. It made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't immediately explain. I closed the app, lay back down, didn't sleep for a long time. The next morning, I checked my Spotify listening history. Corridor B played at 2003 am duration. I had listened to 37 seconds before closing it, but that wasn't the part that stopped me. Below my 37 seconds, the history showed the track had continued playing. For another 41 minutes, after I closed the app, I went through the practical explanations carefully. 1. Someone else had access to my account. I checked my account devices. One listed device, my phone. No other active sessions. I changed my password anyway. Logged out of all devices. Logged back in fresh. 2. The app had a bug. Possible. I updated it. Cleared the cache. Restarted my phone. 3. I'd done this myself in my sleep. Sleepwalking, or some half conscious state where I'd opened Spotify and played something without remembering it. I'd never sleepwalked in my life, but I acknowledged it was technically possible. None of this helped, because the next night at 2003 AME, it happened again. Different song. Same artist, that blank profile, no image, no followers. This track was called Room at the end. Same feeling as the first one, slow, building toward nothing. The musical equivalent of a corridor that keeps extending. I checked my history the next morning, played for 53 minutes after I closed it. I want to explain something about what that detail did to me psychologically, because I think it's important. It wasn't fear exactly, it was more like the feeling of discovering something in your home has been moved, not broken, not destroyed, just shifted. Slightly, enough to know that something had been there, something was using my account, something was listening. And whatever it was, it didn't stop when I closed the app. I started researching the artist's profile. Blank name, just a string of characters, not a real username. The profile had been created according to a Spotify community post I found approximately 7 months before I first noticed the music. It had one follower. Me. I'd never followed this account. I was certain of that. I checked, unfollowed, checked again the next day. I was following it again. At this point, I posted about it. Not on social media, I don't really use social media, but on a tech forum I'd been a member of for years. Described the situation, asked if anyone had experienced similar. Auto following a profile you'd never heard of, music playing after the app was closed, the 2003 timestamp. Most responses were what you'd expect: shared account, malware, sleep app conflicts. Reasonable suggestions, none of which I hadn't already tried. But one reply was different. The account that replied had been on the forum for 6 years, decent post history, not a troll account. The message was short. It said, "Don't listen to the full tracks." "I mean that seriously," I replied, asking what they meant. They didn't respond for 2 days. When they did, they just said, "I had the same thing, same artist. I listened to a full track once." I'm not going to describe what happened, but I haven't been able to sleep in a dark room since. Please just delete the app. I sat with that for a while. The rational part of me said, internet stranger, unverifiable, could be anyone messing around. The other part of me, the part that had been lying awake at 2004 am for 2 weeks listening to music play from a closed app, that part took it seriously. I didn't delete the app, I know. I've asked myself many times why. The honest answer is the same one I gave before. I needed to understand it. I couldn't close the door on something I didn't comprehend. That's just how I'm built. But I did make a decision. I would not listen to a full track. Whatever that person had meant, I wasn't going to find out that way. I started setting an alarm for 2000 am so I'd be awake when it started. I wanted to observe it properly. See the moment of initiation, whether the app opened itself, whether there was any interaction pattern I'd been missing. First night of doing this, I'm awake, watching my phone, screen dark, app fully closed, 2003 AME. The screen lit up. Spotify opened. Not with any touch, not with any interaction. It opened by itself, went directly to the artist page, that same blank profile, and began playing a new track. This one was called He Can See the Window. I want to tell you I stayed calm. I mostly did. But I'd be lying if I said that title didn't affect me. Because my bedroom window, the one above my bed, I sleep with the curtains open. I always have. I like the street light. It helps me feel less sealed in. You can see the window. I got up and closed the curtains. First time I'd done that in 4 years. Then I sat back on the bed and looked at the phone. The track was playing. I let it go for about 20 seconds. That same unresolved building, directionless sound. And then I closed it, checked history in the morning. It had played for 1 hour and 14 minutes. I called a friend of mine, Marcus, who works in cybersecurity. Not to ask for help, just to talk through it with someone rational who wouldn't immediately tell me I was losing my mind. I described everything: the timestamps, the remote playback, the self-following, the track names. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "The continued playback after app closure, that's not a standard Spotify behavior. That's not even a known bug. Apps don't run audio after force close. The OS doesn't allow it." "So what does that mean?" I asked. Another pause. "It means either the history is wrong, logging is glitching and attributing something else to that track, or something else on your device is running the audio and presenting it to the history log as Spotify." "What would do that?" "Something with deep system access," he said, "which you shouldn't have on a standard phone unless something's been installed that shouldn't be there." He came over that weekend and went through my phone properly. No malware that he could find. No unauthorized apps with elevated permissions. System logs showed Spotify itself was the process playing audio, not a background app, not a mirrored process. Spotify. He didn't have an explanation. He said, "Factory reset it. Start clean." I did. That Sunday afternoon, complete wipe, fresh setup, reinstalled only what I needed. That night at 2003 am, my phone played music. I hadn't reinstalled Spotify. The music was coming from the phone's default media player. A file, an audio file, that had not been there before the reset, named only with a date. The date was 7 months ago. The date the artist's profile had been created. The track played through my phone speaker in the dark, and I sat up in bed and I listened, and I'm not going to describe what it sounded like because I don't have the right words for it, and I'm not sure I want to find them. I deleted the file immediately. Didn't let it finish. Nothing happened after that. Not that night. Not the next night. The 2003 AME music stopped. The artist's profile, when I eventually reinstalled Spotify 2 weeks later, was gone. No search results. No history of the tracks in my listening log. It was as if the profile had never existed, except I had screenshots. I took them early on, fortunately. I still have them. I haven't shared them publicly. I thought about it, decided against it. partly because I'm a private person, partly because of what the forum user said. I'm not going to describe what happened, and partly because of something Marcus said when I told him the music had stopped. He said, "You know what's strange? I went looking for that profile after you described it. The blank username, no image. I found an archived version. Someone had cached the page before it disappeared." He paused. The follower count wasn't one, like you saw. When the archive was captured, it was at 412. I asked him what that meant. "It means 411 other accounts were following it," he said. "And at some point, all of them unfollowed or were removed, and then yours was the only one left." I've thought about that a lot. 412 people receiving music at 2003 am, 411 of them gone from the record, unfollowed, removed, accounts deleted, or something else. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what was happening. I've made peace mostly with not knowing. Some things don't resolve cleanly. Some questions just sit there. I sleep with the curtains closed now. I know that's not rational. Whatever was happening, it was through a phone app, not through a window. There's no logical reason the curtain should make a difference. But the track was called He Can See the Window, and I'm not interested in testing that. I still check my Spotify history sometimes. When I wake up in the night, when the room is quiet and something feels slightly off in the way rooms feel slightly off sometimes for no reason, nothing there. Just what I've played, just mine. But every now and then, and I want to be careful saying this because I know how it sounds, I'll see a song in my recently played that I don't remember listening to, something instrumental, something slow, something that builds toward a resolution it never quite reaches. I skip past it quickly. Don't look at the track name. Some things you're better off not knowing the name of.